Хорошо.
Good day from the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Korolyov outside of Moscow, and our coverage of the arrival of 3 new residents to the International Space Station. Thanks for joining us today on NASA Television as the 3 new arrivals at the International Space Station are closing in for a docking to the Rossviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Outpost. Docking scheduled just 42 minutes from now. You're looking at a live view of the Russian Mission Control Center here in Korolyov, where the Russian flight control team is on console at the ready, watching all of their data, monitoring the progress of the brand new Soyuz MS-01, modernized Systems 01 spacecraft that has been functioning perfectly on its shakedown mission since its launch with the crew 48 hours ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The Russian Mission Control Center here in Korolyov is augmented by the International Space Station Flight Control Team, half a world away, at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. They have been on console since late last night. You're looking now at a view inside the ISS Flight Control Room, where the Orbit 3 team of flight controllers is on duty, led by Flight Director Tony Sakachi on the right side of your screen, joined on console in the middle in the purple shirt by spacecraft communicator Jay Marshke, who will be talking directly to the crew on board the International Space Station from time to time when required, as soon as all of the activities unfold for docking. On the far left of your screen is veteran astronaut Luca Parmitano from the European Space Agency, who is serving as a Soyuz systems expert, a second set of eyes, overlooking the activities of the crew on board the Soyuz MS-01. That trio that launched 48 hours ago consists of NASA flight engineer Kate Rubins, Roscosmos cosmonaut Anatoly Ivanishin, and Takuya Onishi of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Ivanishin is seated in the center seat of the Soyuz in the descent module, the center section of the 3-section Soyuz spacecraft. He is the Soyuz commander for launch, ascent, the rendezvous activities, and docking, as he will several months from now when this crew comes home for a landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan. On his left is board engineer number 1, Takuya Onishi, who is serving as the prime flight engineer for the ascent and rendezvous phase of this mission. And on Ivanishin's right is Kate Rubins, the NASA flight engineer. Rubins, the 60th woman to fly in space in history. Onishi, the 11th Japanese astronaut to fly in space. On board the International Space Station, a 3-man crew for the past 3 weeks, about to see the population of the International Space Station doubled under the command of NASA's Jeff Williams, the Expedition 48 commander, joined by 2 Roscosmos colleagues, Alexei Ovchinin and Alex Skripochka, who launched on their own Soyuz vehicle back in March. They will remain on board for the next couple of months until they depart the International Space Station for a landing in the steppe of Kazakhstan, handing over command of the International Space Station to Anatoly Ivanishin.
Скорость 8,9, 6,33,54.
Okay, at 6:33:54, the range rate 8.9. Range 5 and 5, the range rate 884.
As mentioned a moment ago, this newly arriving Soyuz vehicle lifted off from Site 1, Yuri Gagarin's launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome, just 48 hours ago. The launch occurring on Thursday Baikonur time at 7:36 and 40 seconds a.m. Baikonur time. After engine ignition, the Soyuz arced out to the northeast, placing itself less than 9 minutes later in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator to begin a deliberate two-day rendezvous chase to catch up to the International Space Station. The two-day rendezvous prescribed by the Russian Flight Control Team and Roscosmos to test out the new systems associated with this Soyuz MS-01 spacecraft. Some of these new systems that have been so far successfully tested include additional micrometeoroid debris shielding on the outside of the spacecraft, additional photoelectric cells on the Soyuz solar arrays, an upgraded command and telemetry system, an upgraded voice communication system. Most importantly, for this final phase of what is expected to be an automated docking to the Rosviet module, an upgraded Core's automated rendezvous radar system consisting of a single phased array antenna, and upgraded thrusters for redundancy and improved attitude control as the Soyuz has made its way over this two-day trek, slowly elevating its altitude and closing the distance between itself and the International Space Station. Just a few minutes ago, the Core's system was tested once again. The Soyuz external television camera was activated at a range of just under 10 kilometers from the International Space Station. And as we speak, the Soyuz is approaching what is called the ballistic targeting point, at which point the Core's automated rendezvous system will guide the Soyuz to a fly-around of the International Space Station. That fly-around will be about a 57-degree fly-around angle to precisely align the Soyuz just 1,300 feet away from the Rosviet module for a brief period of station keeping, enabling the Russian flight controllers here in Korolyov to be able to measure its alignment, to take one final look at the Soyuz systems before the command is given for the final automated approach for docking to the station, which is scheduled at 11:12 p.m. Central Time, 12:12 a.m. Eastern Time. It will take about 2.5 hours or so after docking for leak checks to be conducted. Once the hooks are closed between the Soyuz and the Rosviet module, once again, a bit of time that will be built into the timeline and as prescribed to enable a thorough leak check after the docking probe is retracted to form a hard mate between the Soyuz and the Rosviet module docking port. Once all of that is accomplished, then it will be time to open the hatches. That is scheduled at 1:50 a.m. Central Time or thereabouts, within a few minutes of that. Once the hatch is opened between Rosviet and the Soyuz, the three new arrivals, Ivanishin, Onishi, and Rubins, will float inside the International Space Station, whose population will double in size back to a 6-person crew for the first time in 3 weeks.
3.588 в центре.
3.5, 8.8 in the center.
Ожидаем через 2 минуты включения двигателя, третью коррекцию.
In 2 minutes, we are standing by for the thruster activation and the burn. All right, standing by for the burn.
Дальность 3.2, скорость 8.74 в центре.
So the range is 3.2, the range rate is 8.8 in the center. The range 3, the range rate 8.72 in the center.
Дальность 2.7, скорость 8.65.
The range is
1 градус выше.
2.7, range rate 8.65, 1 degree over. Yes, Copy, we are receiving the image.
Есть работа ДПО.
So, depot operation, we have maneuver.
As the International Space Station and the Soyuz MS-01 vehicle fly 254 statute miles over the Northwest Pacific in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, tracking from northwest to southeast, soon to pass just to the east of New Guinea, our first view of the Soyuz spacecraft. The first view since it arrived on orbit 2 days ago following its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Right now, about 2.3 kilometers separating the Soyuz from the International Space Station as it currently closes at a rate of about 8.5 meters per second, a hippo-like descent and closure rate will be prevalent at the point of contact and capture, at which time the Soyuz's approach rate will decrease to just 1/10 of a meter per second before contact and capture, and then a period of relative motion in which the motion between the two vehicles will dampen out before the docking probe is retracted to form a hard mate between the two vehicles for the hooks to close between the Soyuz and the Rassvet module docking port.
Copy.
Once again, this has been a textbook approach so far by the Soyuz. No systems issues reported at all by the Russian flight control team to this point in the 48 hours since it departed the launch pad of the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Flight controllers reporting a normal impulse 4 burn with the Soyuz's main engine. This is a series of mid-course correction maneuvers, just the fine-tuning that will bring the progress in concert with the International Space Station. You're looking at a view from the external engineering camera on the Soyuz as it picks up a view of the International Space Station in its crosshairs. Once again, you're looking in the lower left-hand side of the data that's critical, less than 1.7 kilometers separating the two vehicles. The Soyuz now decreasing its rate of approach to about 4 meters per second.
It's needed to get the better image.
Еще раз.
Say again. You can use AGC if you want.
Так, видал R5.
I sent R5 one time.
Хорошо.
Sounds good. Copy.
Принято, хорошо, наблюдаем станцию.
We are seeing, we are observing the station.
Кейт, подготовь, пожалуйста, график на странице 117.
Please, Kate, prepare a table at page 117. Copy.
Russian flight controllers communicating with Anatoly Ivanishin on board the Soyuz MS-01 as it continues its inexorable closure rate towards a docking scheduled at 11:12 p.m. Central Time, which would be 7:12 a.m. here in Moscow at the Russian Mission Control Center, just on the outskirts of the capital of Russia. The Soyuz, once it docks and once the hatches are open and the 6 crew members are together, there will be a brief safety briefing that will be provided by the Expedition 48 Commander Jeff Williams. He will basically inform the newly arrived crew members, which consists of the veteran cosmonaut Anatoly Ivanishin and 2 first-time flyers, Kate Rubins of NASA and JAXA's Takoya Onishi, of all of the evacuation routes and the lay of the land, if you will, on board the International Space Station as Rubins Onishi get their first taste of life on board the orbital outpost. The Soyuz will be powered down later today, and the crew members will have an opportunity to spend some time with one another. They will have an off-duty day on Sunday, but there's not much rest involved for the newly arrived crew members and the residents on board the station as they prepare for the launch in 1 week of a new Russian resupply ship, the ISS Progress 64 craft, that is scheduled to launch next Saturday afternoon U.S. time at about 4:41 p.m. Central Time, which will be 3:41 a.m. at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan from Site 31. That would be on Sunday morning, Kazakhstan time, on its own two-day journey to deliver 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies to the International Space Station. Right behind that, the scheduled launch of the SpaceX Dragon cargo craft from the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. That launch scheduled just after midnight Eastern Time on Monday, July 18th. So the chain of resupply to the station will follow in fast order after the arrival of these 3 crew members on board the complex as the pace of activity on the International Space Station picks up once again. Once again, we're getting downlink television views of this from the external engineering camera on the Soyuz MS-01. Less than a kilometer away from its target for docking at the Rossviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. Soyuz closing at a rate of about 2.3 meters per second. We should be just about 3 minutes away from the start of the fly-around that will automatically take the Soyuz into an orientation of about 57 degrees of fly-around to precisely align the forward docking probe with the Rossviet module. And again, this view of the Soyuz from external cameras on the International Space Station, everything is on track. The Soyuz systems are functioning perfectly to this point.
So it's a retrograde activation now we have.
Выключение. Дальность 600, скорость 1,5.
The range is 600 and the range rate is 1.5.
Принято.
Copy.
At Mission Control in Houston, Visiting Vehicle Officer Tom Erkenswick has reported to Flight Director Tony Sakachi that the Impulse 6 burn with the thrusters on the Soyuz spacecraft has been completed. Everything in good shape. As we stand by for the start of the fly-around by the Soyuz, that will begin at a range of about 400 meters. The Soyuz MS-01 spacecraft and the International Space Station just 490 meters apart, flying in tandem over the Coral Sea just off the northeast coast of Australia. Altitude 254 statute miles. The Soyuz systems are dead on right now. Everything in good shape for the start of the fly-around that is imminent.
Есть, взлет.
We have fly around.
And right at the precise moment, the fly-around has begun. You heard that call from the Russian flight controllers to Anatoly Ivanishin. Again, this approach, fully automated, being governed under the technical capabilities of the brand new Kors NA antenna system, a phased array antenna that is on the forward end of the Soyuz spacecraft. One of the upgrades for this new vehicle that has so far passed all of its tests in its initial flight. Everything continuing to go well. This is a fly around of about 57 degrees of angle that will enable the Soyuz to begin a very brief period of station keeping at a range of about 700 feet or 215 meters away from its docking port, which is the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station.
Иркуты, видите репортаж?
Irkut, please provide your report.
Дальность 30, скорость 0,7.
So the range is 30 and range rate 0.7. Copy.
In the field of view from external cameras on the International Space Station, the Soyuz is approaching its station-keeping position. Now just under 300 meters away, closing at a rate of about 0.6 meters per second. You can see the tracking from the external engineering camera, the Kors automated rendezvous system, doing its job as advertised.
Copy.
Двести 275, 06.
275.6. We have O2 supply on.
Двести 64, 06.
264.6.
Двести 54, 038.
254.38.
Принято.
Copy.
Двести 49, 03.
248.3.
Right on schedule, the Soyuz MS-01 vehicle and its three occupants, Anatoly Ivanishin in the center seat, the board engineer number one, Takoya Onishi of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, to Ivanishin's left, and NASA's Kate Rubins on the right of Ivanishin as board engineer number two. As they approach the station-keeping point, just 230 kilometers separating the Soyuz from the International Space Station. Station keeping should begin just momentarily. This is scheduled for about 6 minutes of station keeping where the Soyuz puts the brakes on. Typically, however, the Russian flight controllers don't take that much time to make their final evaluation of the orientation of the forward docking probe to the Rosviet module in this case, which is the docking port for Soyuz. We'll stand by and await the final call for station keeping.
Дальность 224, скорость 0,26.
Range rate 0.26 and the range is 274.
Выдать причаливание.
So after the fly around is complete, please send the command final approach. All right? We'll do that, Moscow. Copy.
Выдаем по нашей команде.
So the final approach command should be sent on our go. Copy, Moscow. Что ты сказал?
Дальность 216, скорость 0,16.
The range is 216, range rate 016. The time is 55:40. We have indicator,
Дальность 212, скорость 0,16.
причал on. Range rate is 0.16.
Station keeping now has begun. That's confirmed by the visiting vehicle officer at Mission Control in Houston. This view is basically what Ivanishин is seeing on board, and the center seat is Soyuz commander. The Soyuz is holding steady, just 213 meters away.
It's now FGB antenna, locked.
Дальность 200, скорость
The range is 200 and range rate 0.12.
Команда причал готова.
Причал command is ready.
Все, Москва готова.
Moscow, we are ready to send причал command or final approach command. It's a go. We are sending final approach command.
6:56, 55, команда причал.
6:56:55 is the time of the sending причал command. We have причал.
And the command for final approach has been initiated, again, all under the automatic control of the Corps' automated rendezvous system. So a brief period of station keeping, no issues identified by the Russian flight control team. Anatoly Ivanishин in the center seat is the Soyuz commander, watching his control panel, flanked to his left by Takoya Onishi, and on his right, NASA's Kate Rubins, as the Soyuz begins to close in for a link up to the Rossviet module and at least a 4-month stay on board the International Space Station.
Mode. Yes, let's try it once again.
160, скорость 0,9.
The range is 160, range rate 0.9. The docking interface is in the center of the screen.
Принято.
Copy.
Дальность 150, скорость 0,75.
The range is 150, range rate 0.75.
Дальность 140, скорость 0,77, стыковочный узел в центре.
The range is 140, range rate 0.77. The docking interface is in the center of the screen.
Дальность 130, скорость 0,79, параметры воды опять не в допуске.
The range is 130, the range rate 0.79. Parameters VD are not in the range.
120, скорость 0,63.
The range is 120, range rate 0.63. The interface is in the center of the screen. Copy.
Можно пересветку поменьше сделать.
Anatoly Ivanishин reporting his distance from the Rossviet module docking board and his rate of closure. Both the vehicles, the Soyuz and the International Space Station, about to pass into an orbital sunset over the South Pacific.
Let's do it once.
Дальность 100, скорость 51, мишень в центре экрана.
The range is 100, the range rate 0.51, and
Ну, давайте еще.
it's in the center of the screen. The target is in the center of the screen. Let's
Ну да, пожалуйста.
send R5 once again to try AGC mode. You know, it is better on VKO, but it's a little bit fuzzy.
Дальность 0,9, скорость 0,40. В центре экрана мишень.
The range rate is 0.40, and the target is at the center of the screen.
Дальность 80 метров, скорость 0,41.
Range is 80 meters.
Экрана.
Range rate is 0.41. And the crosshairs are aligned. The target is in the center of the screen.
You can see the periodic firing of thrusters as the Soyuz continues its very slow approach under the guidance of its automated rendezvous system.
and the crosshairs are aligned.
So far, a precise alignment for the Soyuz forward docking probe. The docking mechanism on the forward end of the habitation module of the Soyuz MS-01 spacecraft will be activated a short time from now.
Range is 0.6, range rate is 0.26. The crosshairs are aligned and the target is in the center of the screen.
The Soyuz now within 50 meters of docking. So far, so good. All of the systems functioning in perfect fashion for this brand new spacecraft.
The target is in the center of the screen. We copy.
Zero
0.48 is the range, 0.21 range rate. The crosshairs are aligned. And we have the SS-VEPED docking and internal transfer system. LED is illuminated. The SS-VEPED docking mechanism is primed. We copy.
That call indicating that the brand new LED light, basically a new headlight on the Soyuz spacecraft, that was turned on to illuminate the docking target for situational awareness for evolution, and the docking mechanism is powered up.
The target is in the center of the screen. Visually, the range is 30 meters.
Принято.
We copy. Moscow copies. Range is 33. 33 range rate is 0.16, and visually the range is 25 meters. We copy. Range is 30, range rate is 0.12, and the crosshairs are aligned. There is degree
Принято.
discrepancy. We copy.
A good view of the approaching Soyuz craft. The middle section is the descent module. That's where the 3 crew members are strapped in the final few feet prior to contact and capture and their arrival at the International Space Station.
And I sent the ARC command.
скорость.
0.24 is the range, 0.14 is range rate, and there is 1 degree discrepancy. The crosshairs are aligned. There is a slight roll.
Принято.
Approaching 20 meters between the Soyuz and the International Space Station. You can see the crosshairs on this engineering camera on the Soyuz spacecraft coming into alignment with the docking target as planned. The 2 vehicles, the Soyuz and the space station, 254 statute miles over the South Pacific.
In roll. Range is 0.16, range rate is 0.11. Visually, the crosshairs are aligned. Visually, the range is 0.1, 10 meters, and there is 1 degree of deviation. Range is 14 meters. and the crosshairs are aligned. Visually, the range is 8 meters. Range is 13, range rate is 13, 1 degree down from the crosshairs. The crosshairs are aligned, 6-meter range.
Just inside 10 meters now as we stand by for contact and capture of the International Space Station.
In the center of the monitor, and visually the range is about 4 meters. Copy. The target is in the center. There is a slight misalignment in the crosshairs. Range is 3. The roll has stabilized. There is no roll now. There is no roll deviation. We're approaching really nicely. Okay, we see it on the camera. We see it on the camera. We are standing by for contact.
Есть касание.
Contact confirmed. And probe retraction confirmed.
Docking confirmed. A textbook arrival for the brand new Soyuz MS-01 spacecraft. Docking confirmed at 11:06 p.m. Central Time, 7:06 a.m. Moscow time, as the International Space Station and the Soyuz and its 3 crew members flew 254 statute miles over the South Pacific. 3 new crew members have arrived at the International Space Station after a perfect shakedown mission for this upgraded Soyuz vehicle.
070635. Okay. All right, we're working for page 79. We're sending the R7 command wide angle camera view. R7 command.
As the docking probe begins to retract on the Soyuz to basically pull itself into a hard mate with the International Space Station's Rassvet module. Again, docking occurring at 11:06 p.m. Central Time, 12:06 a.m. Eastern Time, as Soyuz and the International Space Station flew 254 statute miles over the South Pacific.
We copy. And we're standing by for the first leak check from you guys. Copy. All right, first measurement. At 0708. SA pressure 838. BO pressure 826. 838. TO pressure. Copy.
Those initial measurements of the pressure integrity of the newly arrived Soyuz spacecraft at the International Space Station will inaugurate about 2 hours and 40 minutes worth of testing and leak checks that will lead to the hatch opening that is scheduled at approximately 1:50 a.m. Central Time, 2:50 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday morning. Again, docking was flawless, a textbook approach of the new Soyuz spacecraft, and all of its new systems having been successfully tested over a 48-hour period following its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan in the early morning hours of Thursday Baikonur time.
как слышно?
Irkutsk, how copy?
Хорошо слышно.
Copy loud and clear.
Ожидаем от вас давление шар-баллона.
What's the pressure in the tanks,
Шар-баллона первого и второго.
the oxygen bottles, number 1 and 2?
Итак, давление шар-баллона первый.
And the first one, 151. Second one, spherical tank, 193.
475.
475
Приняли.
for propellant. Copy. All right, the hooks are open
Принято. Иркутск, мы наблюдаем изображение. Хорошее.
and the LED is not illuminated. Could you please select SSVP docking and internal transfer system display and work? The display is open.
Once we receive confirmation of the hooks being closed, and we now have just this second received the confirmation of the Soyuz hooks closed. So this will enable now the International Space Station to return to control of the orientation of the newly arrived Soyuz at its docking port on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. A continuing series of leak checks of the three sections of the Soyuz spacecraft will begin. The crew will get out of their Sokol launch and entry suits that they wore for launch and doffed basically for a short period of time during their two-day transit to the International Space Station. They will get out of those suits and make their way into more comfortable flight suit clothing that will signal the rest of this post-docking time frame and all of the systems checks on the Soyuz that will lead to the opening of the hatches at approximately 1:50 a.m. Central Time on Saturday morning. So once again, just to recap, the Soyuz lifted off 2 days ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, arrived on orbit less than 9 minutes after launch. Throughout the entire 48-hour deliberate two-day rendezvous plan, all of the Soyuz systems, all of its upgrades were tested in methodical fashion. All of those systems checked out perfectly, leading to the terminal phase of the rendezvous and a flawless approach under the automated control of the Corps' NA automated rendezvous system. Again, one of the new upgrades for this Soyuz modernized system spacecraft, with contact and capture and docking confirmed at 11:06 p.m. Central Time, 7:06 a.m. Moscow time, here on Saturday morning, the docking occurring 254 statute miles over the South Pacific. Hooks now closed between the Soyuz and the Rosviet module. Leak checks to ensue. And with that, we'll wrap up our broadcast for now with one programming note. We'll be back on the air just over 2 hours from now at 1:30 a.m. Central Time. That will be 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time. As we set the stage for the opening of the hatches between the Soyuz MS-01 vehicle and the International Space Station to enable all 6 crew members to be together for the first time, restoring the International Space Station to a full half-dozen occupants. The hatch opening will be followed by congratulatory calls from family members and VIPs here at the Russian Mission Control Center. We'll have all of that for you just over 2 hours from now at 1:30 a.m. Central Time. So stay with us throughout the morning. We'll be back in a couple of hours with our hatch opening coverage. But for now, that'll wrap it up. A flawless docking of the new Soyuz spacecraft to the International Space Station. the arrival of Kate Rubins, Takoya Onishi, and Anatoly Ivanishin, who now are just a couple of hours away from boarding their home in space for the next several months. We'll see you soon on NASA television. For now, this is Mission Control, Corey Young.